Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter, or of course you can subscribe to the channel. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk about the massive fight this weekend. Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall. A lot of people feel that this is a foregone conclusion. I personally do believe that Josh Taylor will win the fight. If they're both healthy and they're both at their best, I think Josh Taylor is an exceptional fighter whose variation and versatility is what makes him so special. He's capable of boxing, fighting on the inside, doing pretty much everything that you need a fighter to be able to do. I'm not going to go as deep into this technical breakdown just because I'm strapped for time, unfortunately. For those of you that are interested in those sorts of things, I have done some technical breakdowns on Josh Taylor in the past. You can check out the one against Jose Ramirez, which was a detailed technical breakdown, pre-fight and then the post-fight analysis as well. You can see the screenshots here up on screen now, so you can find those on my channel and you can check those out if you're interested. To give you a really basic sort of summary though, Josh Taylor can fight off the back foot, the front foot, he can lead, he's a fantastic southpaw fighter. But where his bread and butter is, for me, in my humble opinion, is his ability to counterpunch combined with his inside game. He's a fantastic inside fighter. He's able to push you off with the forearms, and he uses the legs quite a lot. As you see there, you see that bump with the shoulder? He'll dip at the legs and push you away, or slip back there and land a counter, as you saw there with Ramirez. And when he's on the inside, he's able to land those short shots, as you see there. So he creates this little space by pinning your arm, as he did there. You see how he pinned the lead hand there of Regis Prograis, and then he'll give him a little push off right there to create gaps to then throw his short shots. Then he'll get right back inside you again and smother you. So whilst he's smothering you, he's going to work. There's the little counter. If you try to step out, he tries to pivot out, you try to punch with him, he'll land something on his way out too. So he's got a bit of everything. He's got fast feet. He can box. He's just a very, very good fighter. And he's facing Jack Catterall, who is a good fighter. He's not operating anywhere near the level of Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor has operated at the highest level. But Catterall has sparred with some top-class fighters. I believe he's sparred with Canelo Alvarez. He's been to the Mayweather gym. So he's sparred with a lot of top-class talent. And he's got confidence in himself. And rightly so. You know, he is a good fighter. He's got some really nice shot variation. He's physically very strong. And he's quite accurate when he's punching out of a turn. So if you're right up close next to him and you try to pivot out, he can turn with you and throw one big shot. This is something Teofimo Lopez is very good at, which actually gave Vasyl Lomachenko a whole bunch of problems. The thing is, though, despite that timing, being accurate, punching off of that turn and so on and so forth, his feet aren't necessarily the best. In my humble opinion, he can get a little bit flat-footed. He can overcommit when he's lunging, which can leave him as a sitting duck in the pocket because he'll lunge into quite a wide stance, and then from there he's not in a position to quickly adjust his feet. So by lunging, he can get caught on his way out after he's done his work, or he's just in the pocket and he's being forced to exchange. Now he does have, like I said, nice shot variation. Nonetheless, you don't necessarily want to have to be in a situation where you're constantly in a position where you have to exchange, particularly against a guy like I showed you who's as good in the inside as Josh Taylor. Let's take a look at a few of the things that I'm talking about here. Watch this deep step in there, and he gets caught with a little jab over the top, then a hook to the belly again there. You see how he lunges in with that jab to the solar plexus. Even there when he was looking to hide his head, duck down and throw that whipping over the top left hand, which is a good shot that he throws. You can see that he's still in the pocket. He's still able to be reached. And he whips that left arm around and lifts that left back leg off of the floor sometimes. He's using his weight to generate momentum as he moves forward. There it is again. It's like a momentum shot. There's a shift from his weight, from his back foot to his front foot. Look at him again. It's almost like he's jumping into shots, right? It's that shift of momentum. And you see it again there. And that, like I said, can make him a sitting duck. You see how wide his feet got there when he threw that jab, and then he gets caught with the jab to the body. Now, he's in control here. He's not in any trouble. It's not a problem. But the point is, as you can see there, when he's just holding and waiting for the ref to say break, there you could see the punch off of the turn, by the way. Let's just rewind that a little bit. But as you could see before I show you that bit, this is the little bit, he's fairly safe here. He's very safe, to be honest with you. He's got the left arm of the opponent trapped. He's covering his own head, and he's also, in fact, covering the opponent's head. That's how protected he is to protect himself from this shot here. But he's not really doing much. And this is the area where Josh Taylor's the sort of guy who will lunge at the hips slightly, bend the knees, and push him off, create a little gap in between his own armpit, say, and the armpit of Catterall, and firing an uppercut or something like that, right? This is the sort of things that Josh Taylor can do. Jack Catterall can't afford that. You see that, though, off of the turn, how he turns with him. So Josh Taylor's going to have to be a little bit careful on his exits to ensure that he's covered up, because Jack Catterall will turn with him and try to throw these hooks. And you can see here there is a lot of variation from the head to the body. He's aggressive, he comes forward, he's physically strong. You don't want to be exiting in straight lines when he's launching himself out like that. So listen, he's a handful. There's no doubt about it. He is undefeated. He has a lot of self-belief. Here it is again off of the turn, how accurate he is, bang on the chin. But you see how he stumbles a little bit after that shot? These are the little issues he has with his feet. And I'm just wondering whether he's able to rotate and adjust against a mover like Taylor, who's able to effortlessly switch from being on the back foot to jumping inside and then turning it into an inside game. But that swinging shot is something that Josh Taylor actually referred to in The Gloves Are Off. So this is something we need to talk about, because The Gloves Are Off was, well, I can't say it was the sharpest, most exciting Gloves Are Off ever, but for me, there were a couple of things that were betrayed by the mindset of Josh Taylor here. So let's have a little bit of a psychological dive into what occurred in this face-off, and this Gloves Are Off, and what might be on the mind of Josh Taylor. And of course, this is just speculative. Now, before I explain my thought process on this, I want to give you a little bit of an analogy to lay the context, the background for you. In criminology, you have a term colloquially called an orgy of evidence. And what that means is that if you have walked in on a crime scene and the evidence is too good to be true, it's pointing you in one direction, it's leading you into a specific direction, then maybe the person who looks like committed the crime is actually being framed here. He's being set up. So imagine you walk into a murder scene, and this murder scene is a warehouse. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's in some field miles and miles from civilization, and you find a dead body there, and there's blood everywhere, and there's a used handgun, and that handgun has the fingerprints of a known criminal. It also has a driving license of that criminal right next to the handgun. His fingerprints are on the work surfaces too. Now, this was in the middle of nowhere. This guy wasn't in a rush. He would have had time to have cleaned up after himself. He could have wiped the surfaces down. We're not talking about you finding a driver's license a mile away in the woods and you just got lucky because he happened to drop it. You're talking about it's at the crime scene. Well, suddenly it starts to look suspicious. Is he that inept? I mean, you can't rule it out, but is he that inept? Or has somebody wanted you as a policeman to think that way? Well, when they want you to think that way, it means they're trying to lead you down the garden path. They're trying to lead you down a direction they want you to go. And in this particular Gloves Are Off, to me, Josh Taylor seems to be obviously trying to lead Jack Catterall down a particular path. And I want you to consider this, because if he is, we have to ask ourselves why. It seems to me that Josh Taylor wants Jack Catterall to have a fight with him rather than box him. He first came out and he said, I don't see any way he can beat me unless he catches me with a big swinging shot, his left shot. Now, straight away, I found that unusual. Before I've seen anything else, I found that unusual. When was the last time you ever heard an A-side, let alone a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter in the world, plant a seed in the opponent's mind that he can be knocked out? That he himself can be knocked out? That doesn't sound right, does it? Now, initially, I tried to explore this, and I was thinking, why would he be saying this? Now, Jack Catterall is not talking, right? He's not very, you can see he definitely doesn't have the gift of the gab. He doesn't know what to say when. He's not a guy with much charisma. If that was me, and I was Jack Catterall, the first thing I would have said to Josh Taylor is, I'm glad you're fully aware that I'm capable of knocking you out early. I'm glad you know that the best way I can beat you is by taking you out early. And clearly, you think there's a chance of that happening. Why would you bring that up? Why are you telling me the best chance? So what are the chances, Josh? Tell me, what in a percentage, what are the chances of me knocking you out? Then when he says, oh, it's 1% or something stupid like that, I'm going to say, okay, and that means I've got less chance of outboxing you. So what, 0.5%? So you agree I've got twice as much chance of knocking you spark out than I have of outboxing you. I'd start to put it on him like that. I'd start to make him question, you tell me, are you vulnerable? Is that what you're telling me? You're more skilled rather than you are durable? Is that what you're telling me, Josh? I tried to flip it around, but Jack Catterall doesn't have that personality. So Josh got away with these things, but it started to make me wonder, is it possible that Josh Taylor just doesn't want Jack Catterall to be like a deer in headlights? He wants him to come out and fight so that Josh can look spectacular? Well, initially, this is what I thought. But then I dismissed it. Because after the Gloves Are Off, what happened was So the program's finished, right? The cameras are still rolling, but the program's finished. And you see the two men get up and walk away. And as they're walking away to remove their microphones, so the show is over. This is not what you were due to see on camera. Josh Taylor puts his hand on his shoulder and he said, if you're going to try and outbox me, then it's an easy night. And then he repeats it, an easy night. And Jack Catterall's just saying, we'll see. But let that sink in. Doesn't this sound like a man who doesn't want you to box with him? He wants you to have a fight. Why? Well, is it possible that Josh Taylor is still carrying some sort of problem with his knee? The fight was supposedly postponed because of a knee injury for Josh Taylor, right? I know a lot of people, there were some theories out there about Taylor not wanting to fight with certain restrictions in place in Scotland, and that would be totally understandable. And massive respect, by the way, to Josh Taylor for the way he has handled himself over the course of the last 2 years. Massive respect. But if that's the reason, then clearly there's no injury worry at all. But if the injury was genuine, is it possible that he still has a problem with his knee? And he doesn't want to have to be trying to chase a guy around the ring? Because knee injuries are hard to shake off. They do niggle, they do cause problems, recurring issues. Ask any professional footballer who's picked up a knee injury how long it takes for him to shake it off, and it can be a recurring problem. Let me know what you think. Is it just bluster? Was he just not thinking, just acting on emotion? Or did this betray his innermost thoughts? Let me know what you think, everyone. Thanks for watching. Chat to you soon. Bear in mind, this is all speculative. Unless there's a serious injury that we don't know about, I expect Josh Taylor to look spectacular in this fight. Thanks for watching. Take care. Chat to you soon. God.